Hi, my friends. Good morning to most of you. Hopefully, it is your morning and you're getting started. So, Miss Palmer's recording the What is Pollination video for Monday, April 27th. And what we've done in the past is we read and talked about bees. Then we moved on to butterflies and moths. And today, another pollinator that we're going to learn about that are grouped together are wasps and flies. So wasps is pretty tricky to say because wasp is one wasp, and if you have more than one wasp, you would say wasps. And so there's an S after the P. That's why it sounds like wasps. So here are wasps and flies. I'm going to go ahead and read it, and then afterwards, if there's any new vocabulary or if you guys need any help, let us know, and then you'll go ahead and do seesaw, okay? All right, so we're on page 20, and the heading says wasps and flies. We're going to start right here. Wasps are mainly carnivores. Carnivores eat other animals. Wasps hunt small insects. Many insects live on plants. Wasps visit flowers to look for smaller insects that they can find there. They also drink flower nectar to give them energy to hunt insects. While they hunt insects, wasps pollinate plants by carrying pollen on their bodies from flower to flower. Wasps also help nature by eating many insects that damage plants. Okay, so let's just stop. Ready? Let's talk about this. Wasps. We haven't even got to flies yet. Think about wasps. They are carnivores, which means that they eat animals. They hunt small insects, so they're eating other insects. The reason that they go from plant to plant is because they're looking for insects. They visit flowers to look for smaller insects so that they can find them there. They also drink flower nectar to give them energy to hunt. Great, so there's their food. They get the nectar, and that's what gives them energy. It says, while they hunt insects, wasps pollinate plants by carrying pollen on their bodies from flower to flower. So while they're going around and they're looking for insects, they have pollen stuck to them, they have pollen on their bodies, and they're pollinating without even realizing. Wasps also help nature by eating many insects that damage plants. Great. So they're eating some of these they're eating some of these insects that damage plants. So, although wasps are a little different by eating other animals, they do help us, right, by pollinating. So they're definitely a pollinator. And they're eating other insects that damage plants. Okay? And what's that new word that means that you eat other animals? A carnivore. So wasps are carnivores. Say carnivores. Carnivores. Good. Let's go to flies. Okay? Oh, and here's my picture of the wasps. And now we're on to flies. Pretending to sting. Flies are very important pollinators because there are so many of them. The most important fly pollinator are hoverflies and bee flies, but many other flies also visit flowers to feed on nectar. Hoverflies have yellow and black stripes, but they are not related to bees or wasps. The flies, which cannot sting, pretend to be stinging insects to keep other animals from eating them. Let me read that last sentence because I think that was important. The flies, which cannot sting, pretend to be stinging insects like bees to keep other animals from eating them. Great. So here's what flies do. Look, this is a fly, even though it looks exactly like a bee. They pretend to have stingers so that other animals won't eat them. How smart, right? So here's what we just found out from wasps and flies. Oh, actually, let's just focus on flies first, and then we'll compare the two. So flies, they are very important pollinators. because there's so many of them, right? We see flies a lot, very often, right? The most important fly pollinators are hoverflies and bee flies. But many other flies visit flowers to feed on nectar. So they feed on nectar just like wasps. Hoverflies are the yellow and black striped ones. They look like bees, but they are not related to bees or wasps. The flies, which cannot sting, pretend to be stinging insects. Great. So, seems like flies are pretty smart. So here's a hoverfly. Looks exactly like a bee, but it's not a bee, right? And that's why this heading it says pretending to sting. They are pretending, but they can actually not sting. So what do we know about flies? They do not have stingers. They are not related to bees. They are definitely pollinators. There's a lot of flies, and they feed on nectar from going flower to flower. Okay? So friends, I know we're going through these quickly, but we're going to stop there from wasps and flies. And I want to just point out a similarity I noticed between the two. I noticed that wasps and flies, a similarity is that they both drink flower nectar and they both feed on nectar to give them energy. What else? Let's see. I noticed that just looking at their bodies, they both have wings. They both have abdomens. They both have heads. They have a very similar body structure. They both have legs. And it looks like they both have antennas. You see? But there are a lot of differences. One difference is that wasps are mainly carnivores and they meat other animals. Let me actually look up what flies eat. Let's see. This is great to look up information, right? Hoverflies. Well, they mainly feed on nectar and pollen. Okay. So that's their main source of food, so that's flies. Flies' main source of food are the nectar and transferring pollen from flower to flower. But the wasps are mainly carnivores and eating other animals. So what a big difference there, right? How about... I know another difference is that wasps actually hunt insects. I also know that wasps eat other insects that damage plants. And it didn't say anything about that with flies. It didn't say anything about flies hunting insects, and it didn't say anything about flies protecting the plants by getting rid of other insects that damage them, right? Let's see, any others? I think that's it, my friends. They do look very similar, though. If you want, look up some pictures. Wasps and flies. All right, friends? I want you to go over to Seesaw, and I want you to get started. Good luck.